Fire Lotus. And if you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing with your life? But hi, hello. So, Wiser reached out to me on an app and wanted to send me a few books. So this is one of those reviews out of 3 total, I believe. Um, so now before I get into this, just because I know how the internet is, obviously this book is by Jake Richards. It is Olson and Steele's classic household guide to Appalachian folk healing, a collection of old-time remedies, charms, and spells. Introduction and commentary by Jake Richards, author of Backwoods Witchcraft and Doctoring the Devil, and the Conjure Cards, and now this. And then it's forwarded by Silver Ravenwolf, author of Solitary Witch and like hundreds of other books. Now, before anybody comes at me, I know, Silver Ravenwolf, we're going to leave that alone. Okay. So, but let's get into this. First off, if you have not fully worked through, having Christian aspects or aspects of the Bible in your practice, this book is not for you. I'm sorry. I even had an interesting time reading this book. So I am going to read some of the back a little bit. Osen and Steele's Guide to Health or Household Instructor was a immensely popular 19th century collection of folk remedies, healing spells, and charms. It drew wildly on the folklore of old Pennsylvania Dutch and German powwows, healing practices which in turn helped shape Appalachian folk magic, conjure, root work, and many other folk healing traditions in America. Author Jake Richards puts these remedies in context with a practical advisor for modern-day healings. Now, they stated in this book, there are a lot of things in here that are not meant for consumption because it is deadly and or it could make you extremely ill. So take that into play. I, in general, I love this book. Now, like I said, it is heavily stoked in using passages from the Bible. So, yeah, that's number one thing. And I love it. Obviously, I'm a Southern Conjure practitioner and Appalachian Folk practitioner. And I myself am still in the early stages of actually fully incorporating parts of the Bible into my practice due to what? Religious trauma from the church. Technically, it's from the family of the church. Anyways. So, let's go over the contents of this book really quick. So, you have the forwarder by Silver Ravenwolf. Then you also have the introduction. I'm trying to find a note to the reader. That's important. Here we go. Okay, so I was wrong. There's not one. But, well-tired Heminis, a well-tired remedy for convulsing fevers, a well-trained remedy for Catholics in the hand, a sure cure for consumption, no matter how silver served, provided the patient's lungs are not too far gone. In general, I really loved it. Now, obviously, this is from the 19th century, so there are some terms, which they go over this in the book as well, there are some terms and other things that could be problematic, but again, it was written in the 19th century, and they brought it back. They actually even tell the story of how this got in their hands. Hands down, though, it is definitely a book you would like to add to your collection, especially if you are all about Appalachian folk healing, and old-time remedies and charms and spells. And again, it does heavily, kind of call for using prayers and passages from the Bible. How to make a good plaster for drawing boils together. How to make first-class horse powder. It's another good remedy for the snake, or for the bite of a snake. It's really good. Now, obviously, there are a lot of things in here that you are not actually going to be applied to you. And it's even got recipes, practical recipes, how to make a self-healing soul polish. But I love it because it gives us an insight into what it was like growing up in Appalachia in the 19th century. And or you get a taste of old Pennsylvania Dutch and German powwows. In general, it's a really great book. The first part of the book contains spells and charms for healing wounds, styes, broken bones, and illnesses of all sorts. The second part includes other folk remedies using ingredients based in sympathetic reasoning, including sulfuric acid, gunpowder, and other substances for swellings, toothaches, headaches, and so on. These remedies are preserved here in this historical interest to help better understand how folk medicine evolved in America. Um, it's a really good book. I'm not even gonna lie, and it's a short read depending on how fast you read. Now, again, like I said, this is if you do not like the idea of having anything to do with the Bible in your practice. For one, you're gonna have a very hard time practicing Southern Conjure and Appalachian folk practice because they heavily use the Bible in their practices. Um, Now, again, there may be a couple of problematic things in here. They also warn you in the book that this was written back in the 19th century, so, one or two problematic things could be said in here. But it's definitely one to add to your collection. And if you truly did grow up in Appalachia, it also has a list of remedies. Then this would basically be like having a piece of your childhood brought back to you. I grew up in the foothills of the Appalachians, so 50-50 on a lot of the things that I was exposed to, but I'd never heard of using gunpowder or sulfur. Also, sulfur is toxic, so please watch out for that. But yeah, I mean, Corey Thompson, Hutchison authored New World Witchery. This is kind of an expo from him. Jake Richards has reconstructed a book of commonplace remedies, recipes, and rituals that once had a home in many royal Southern families' shelves. This book is rich with folklore and folk practices, and Richard manages the difficult task of balancing the contemporary knowledge against the traditional. The author aids in historical research, but even more a sense of life through his own family's recollection of these formulas and practices. This book will easily find a home alongside the classic books of folk medicine and magic on the shelves of new generations. And 100% it will. Like, I love, again, Jake Richards, I love how he does any of his work. If you have not checked out Backwoods Witchcraft, you totally need to. And then the second one to that, Doctoring the Devil. But this one is written the exact same way. And I love it because, like it says in here, and like I've said, it literally gives you a perspective of what it's like growing up in Appalachia in a way that I've never experienced before. Um, and just in general, I love this old school of how they used to do it. Like, here's one: a sure cure for fresh strains on a person or animal. Repeating the following: O dear Lord Jesus Christ, hung on the cross, and his hanging did not do him any harm. Therefore, hence Christian name of the patient, or the patient's name. Strain shall shallow do no harm. Then it did our dear Lord Jesus Christ when he hung the cross, when he was hung at the cross. So see, it's very, very obviously Appalachian folk magic. They looked at the Bible as a way of life. And it's also important to know that they did not really see this as magic as much as it was just a way of life and it was a way to get to the next day. So yeah, I'm going to make this brief and short. Hands down, an amazing book. I would definitely try to add it to your wish list. And please do not consume anything in this book, especially if it involves sulfur and or gunpowder. But yeah, that's going to be the review. I'm definitely adding it, obviously, to my collection. This will also be added to my magical library wish list that I have in my link tree. Basically, that's a list of all the books that I have on my collection that I can actually find on Amazon. So you should totally check that out as well. Now, you can also check out my page a little bit down below. I have other book reviews, and on my TikTok, I also have a list of book reviews and witchy tips as well. But yeah, hands down, a very, very good book to have on your shelf. And I cannot wait to dig into the other two. And in fact, there's actually going to be 3 more book reviews because now I do have 2 that I have to review from Wiser, but I also got another one from my Amazon wish list that somebody sent me, and that's on Sigil Witchery. So I'm excited about that, and then I'm just excited. But yeah, hands down, it is definitely a good book. There you go. So, yeah, and if you have read this, or if you do get to read it, let me know how you like it. And in the comments, if you made it this far in the video, name a book that you would like me to possibly get my hands on and to review and read. But, yeah, hands down, an amazing book. And as always, thank you for the shares, the likes, and everything else that y'all amazing people do. Also, if you would like to support me in any way, shape, or form, you can click the link tree listed below. I'm also still offering the $10 Oracle read throughout the end of the year. I do those via email. You can get a full reading for $10. So if you would like to do that or book any type of custom spell work with me, email will be listed below. Just send over an email saying $10 Oracle or magical consultation for spell work. So yeah, and Pfizer, thank you. I said Pfizer. Wow, Wiser Books. Thank you. But yeah, until then, I will see y'all later. Peace.